In the tumultuous and increasingly multipolar geopolitical landscape anticipated for 2026, the French Republic has firmly established itself as the preeminent diplomatic and military third pole. This strategic orientation, tracing its ideological roots back to General Charles de Gaulle's profound vision during the Cold War era, underscores France's unwavering pursuit of strategic autonomy. It is not an act of isolationism, but rather a meticulously calculated framework designed to maintain a robust, sovereign, and independent middle power status on the global stage. Paris explicitly rejects the simplistic binary choice between aligning solely with Washington or Beijing. Instead, France actively champions a genuinely multipolar world order, one in which a unified and independent Europe can emerge as a vital, stabilizing force, capable of acting on its own terms. This doctrine elevates strategic autonomy from a mere theoretical concept to the foundational paradigm for modern French foreign policy and defense architecture. At its core, the Gaullist legacy asserts that for any nation to truly remain a sovereign global actor, it must possess the unequivocal ability to control its own destiny, a conviction that resonates with profound significance in the complex 2026 security environment. As long-standing traditional alliances grapple with internal strains and global power blocks increasingly consolidate, France has deliberately distanced itself from the binary trap of choosing absolute allegiance to either the United States or China. Paris perceives this cultivated independence not as a rejection of crucial transatlantic ties, but rather as an essential insurance policy against absolute reliance on any foreign power. By steadfastly charting its own unique course, France serves as an indispensable mediator, maintaining vital diplomatic channels across regions like the Indo-Pacific, the Middle East, and Africa that might otherwise be severed due to superpower rivalries. This refusal to be subjugated to either binary pole underpins the entire spectrum of French statecraft, demanding both a robust defense industrial complex and a deeply ingrained cultural confidence. Through the unwavering maintenance of its unique strategic status, France actively safeguards its liberty to act decisively in its national interest, while simultaneously championing the cause of a sovereign and resilient Europe. The pursuit of strategic autonomy, therefore, serves as a comprehensive diplomatic and defensive model, guaranteeing that Paris retains a prominent and influential voice on the global stage. At the very heart of France's strategic autonomy, indeed its ultimate guarantor, resides the force de frappe, the nation's fully independent nuclear deterrent. As the only nuclear shield entirely separate from NATO command within the European Union, the force de frappe provides Paris with unmatched freedom of action and an undeniable foundation for sovereign defense. General de Gaulle's foundational principle was brilliantly clear. No nation could be truly independent if it relied on another power for its ultimate survival. This rationale remains the bedrock of French national security in 2026, ensuring France's seat at any top-tier geopolitical table. The maritime leg of this formidable deterrent, the Strategic Ocean Force, Force Oceanique Stratégique, FOSD, represents the pinnacle of French technological sovereignty and operational prowess. Maintaining a continuous at-sea deterrence posture, the FOSD operates the Advanced Triomphant-class nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines, SSBNs, which are continually undergoing sophisticated upgrades to ensure their survivability in increasingly contested future environments. Alongside ongoing submarine modernizations and the deployment of updated submarine-launched ballistic missiles like the M51. 3. France is proactively investing in next-generation aerospace and hypersonic capabilities to guarantee that its deterrent remains impenetrable and credible for decades to come. Crucially, Paris bolsters its nuclear posture through a meticulously crafted policy of strategic ambiguity. Rather than subscribing to the traditional, transparent nuclear sharing frameworks adopted by some allies, France purposely maintains a deliberate degree of uncertainty regarding its exact red lines and response mechanisms. This calculated ambiguity grants Paris outsized influence in global security councils and during critical international crisis management scenarios. Adversaries and allies alike are compelled to factor an independent and potentially unpredictable French nuclear variable into their complex strategic calculations, thereby magnifying French diplomatic leverage far beyond its conventional military weight. Furthermore, adapting with foresight to the shifting realities of European security in 2026, French President Emmanuel Macron formally unveiled an important update to the French nuclear doctrine, the innovative concept of forward deterrence. This progressive approach thoughtfully extends a broader protective framework to willing European partners, allowing for the temporary deployment of French strategic air forces to Allied territories. This effectively disperses deterrence capabilities and significantly complicates adversary calculations, creating a more robust European defense posture. Even with these expanded cooperative exercises and strategic dialogues with countries such as the UK and various continental European states, France firmly retains sole, sovereign launch authority, underscoring its ultimate independence. To sustain its military and diplomatic independence, France absolutely requires a world-class, self-sufficient defense industrial base. The cornerstone of this critical capability is the French aerospace sector, which has seen remarkable advancements with the ongoing Dassault Rafale program. Transitioning seamlessly from the F-4 standard to the developmental framework of the upcoming Rafale F-5, France is pioneering a truly connected combat ecosystem for the future. The F-5 standard, backed by substantial investments in the 2026 defense budget, will incorporate collaborative combat drones, cutting-edge artificial intelligence, and new hypersonic missiles, ensuring French air power remains technologically independent and dominant well beyond 2060. Crucially, the success of the Rafale program has drastically reduced European reliance on imported American military hardware. In an era marked by shifting procurement timelines and potential shifts in transatlantic security guarantees, the Rafale serves as a viable, entirely sovereign European alternative for high-end combat capabilities, enhancing continental resilience. By entirely funding the development of the Rafale F-5 standard domestically, France fiercely protects its critical intellectual property and industrial know-how, thereby ensuring absolute technical sovereignty over its vital military infrastructure. Financially, the export of French high-tech aerospace technology is a potent tool not only for economic growth, but also for strategic statecraft. French defense exports, including multi-billion-dollar agreements with key partners in the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East, generate substantial revenue that directly supports domestic jobs and production lines, reinforcing the national economy. More importantly, these exports function as powerful instruments of foreign policy. By supplying advanced platforms to allied nations, France effectively builds long-term strategic partnerships, secures crucial basing rights, and fosters geopolitical alignment, particularly in critical regions spanning the Indo-Pacific. These bilateral defense relationships are often bolstered by agreements with nations seeking cutting-edge capabilities without the restrictive political strings often attached to equipment from competing powers, most notably the United States. This independent export capability ensures that France remains a reliable anchor of security cooperation, capable of projecting influence and maintaining interoperability with partner nations on a truly global scale. Beyond its formidable military power and industrial might, French strategic autonomy relies heavily on the nuanced exercise of soft power, linguistic diplomacy, and the steadfast protection of its unique cultural identity. The Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, OIGF, acts as a critical institutional vehicle for maintaining and extending French influence across Africa and the Middle East. In a geopolitical landscape characterized by rapidly shifting alliances and the accelerated spread of competing global ideologies, the shared linguistic and cultural heritage sustained by La Francophonie provides France with an invaluable diplomatic network and a deep reservoir of soft power. At both the domestic and European levels, France has rigorously championed the cultural exception, l'exception culturelle, policy. This vital policy ensures that cultural goods, ranging from cinema and literature to digital media, are treated distinctly from standard commercial commodities in international trade agreements. By actively shielding its arts, broadcasting, and media sector from the homogenizing forces of globalized digital conglomerates, France effectively protects the vitality and distinctiveness of the French language and creative expression, ensuring their enduring resonance. Paris further leverages its traditional role as a preeminent center of philosophical and intellectual leadership to actively frame and guide global discourse. French leaders and thinkers frequently position the Republic as the champion of universal human rights, democratic values, and intellectual rigor. By steering debates on critical emerging issues, including global artificial intelligence governance, digital ethics, and climate change, Paris ensures that its deeply held values remain central to global policymaking and discussions. The seamless integration of this profound cultural and intellectual soft power with its robust hard defense capabilities creates a holistic and exceptionally effective framework for sovereign influence. This comprehensive approach allows France to project itself not merely as a strong military power, but as a civilizational model capable of offering alternative and compelling visions to prevailing global narratives. Strategic autonomy, as astutely envisioned by Paris, cannot be confined solely to the realm of defense ministries. It unequivocally demands a holistic approach that seamlessly integrates both civil and military capabilities. True sovereignty entails Gallic technological mastery across all critical sectors, including space, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and telecommunications. France recognizes with clarity that the modern battlefield is increasingly defined by dual-use technologies, where rapid civilian innovations directly dictate military dominance and strategic advantage. In this ambitious endeavor, France places a high premium on spearheading the development of an integrated European defense industrial base. The overarching goal is to secure technical sovereignty across the board, ensuring that critical infrastructure, from semiconductor manufacturing to secure satellite constellations and robust energy grids, remains effectively insulated from foreign coercion or undue influence. This decisive push for European technological independence actively mitigates vulnerabilities associated with global supply chain disruptions and attempts at geopolitical blackmail. Moreover, civil-military synergy is highly evident in France's forward-thinking approach to outer space and maritime security. Recognizing the space domain as an increasingly contested theater of operations, Paris has continuously invested in sovereign satellite surveillance and communication networks, ensuring autonomous command and control capabilities vital for national security. Similarly, French maritime strategy relies on the seamless cooperation and mutual reinforcement between the Marine Nationale and the extensive French commercial shipping and maritime research sectors. By prioritizing joint civil and military research and development, France ensures that its armed forces benefit from rapid technological insertion while simultaneously bolstering the global competitiveness of its domestic high-tech industries. This cross-pollination effectively protects French intellectual property and manufacturing capacity, allowing the nation to produce sovereign solutions that perfectly fit its unique and evolving strategic requirements. While the core of French strategic autonomy centers on European security and its immediate periphery, France's global reach is most uniquely exemplified by its ambitious Indo-Pacific strategy. As an intrinsic resident power in the Indo-Pacific, home to nearly 2 million French citizens and vast exclusive economic zones, EEZs, stretching across the Indian and Pacific Oceans, France possesses profound strategic interests in the region. Paris views the Indo-Pacific not merely as a distant theater, but as a critical node in its steadfast pursuit of an independent, multipolar world order. France's approach to the Indo-Pacific explicitly rejects the bipolar model of a zero-sum contest between the United States and China. Instead, Paris actively advocates for an inclusive strategy, emphasizing unwavering respect for international law, freedom of navigation, and robust multilateral cooperation. By cultivating deep strategic partnerships with key regional players such as India and Australia, France offers Indo-Pacific nations a compelling alternative security partner that champions regional sovereignty and respects local independence, without imposing external allegiances. The French Indo-Pacific vector relies on a tangible military presence, including regular naval deployments, joint exercises, and defense agreements that significantly bolster the maritime domain awareness of partner nations. The deployment of advanced French assets, including the Rafale and modern naval vessels, in these operations serves a dual purpose. It tangibly supports the security infrastructure of emerging economies, while simultaneously creating lucrative export markets and long-term maintenance contracts that sustain the French domestic defense industry. Through its proactive and strategic Indo-Pacific engagement, France projects its strategic autonomy onto the global stage, definitively proving that a sovereign middle power can indeed shape events in distant theaters. This global reach ensures that Paris remains a relevant, indispensable diplomatic actor, capable of protecting its overseas territories and economic interests while simultaneously advocating for a balanced, rules-based international order. France's unwavering pursuit of strategic autonomy does not inherently contradict the broader, aspirational goal of European defense integration. Rather, Paris deftly uses its own formidable capabilities as a blueprint and driving force for a more sovereign Europe. The French vision for the Common Security and Defense Policy, CSDP, is deeply rooted in the premise that Europe must fundamentally transform into a security provider, rather than remaining a mere consumer of security guarantees from external powers. Consequently, France has consistently championed the rigorous development of European military capabilities that are highly complementary to NATO but are critically capable of independent action should transatlantic alliances falter or prove insufficient. A central pillar of this blueprint is the persistent push for joint European defense procurement and collaborative research programs. By spearheading these vital collaborative projects, France aims to foster a genuinely European defense, technological, and industrial base, reducing fragmentation and duplication. This integration not only creates significant economies of scale and profoundly improves interoperability among European armed forces, but also robustly protects the continent from over-reliance on non-European military technology, securing vital supply chains. Furthermore, France's progressive evolution of its nuclear doctrine serves as a deliberate mechanism to prompt European allies to assume greater responsibility for their own continent's security. The forward deterrence concept is precisely designed to initiate serious, institutionalized discussions on nuclear deterrence at the European level, subtly integrating continental partners into French wargaming and strategic planning. While Paris adamantly retains sole, sovereign launch authority, this innovative framework attempts to cultivate a cohesive European strategic culture, encouraging partners to match their financial and conventional ambitions with the often harsh strategic realities of the 2026 security environment. Through this comprehensive approach, France positions itself as the natural and indispensable leader of European strategic autonomy. By harmonizing its own military sovereignty with broader continental integration efforts, Paris leads by powerful example, transforming the European Union into a formidable geopolitical actor capable of navigating the complex, multipolar challenges of the modern era. Despite its clear strategic vision and impressive multidimensional strengths, France's pursuit of strategic autonomy faces significant challenges and internal constraints in 2026. Chief among these is the immense economic pressure required to fund such a highly ambitious and technologically advanced defense ecosystem. The ongoing modernization of the force de frappe, the continuous development of the Rafale F-5 standard, and the pursuit of sixth-generation combat aircraft all place a tremendous and sustained strain on the national budget. The unforeseen collapse of co-financing partnerships for the Rafale F-5 program in late 2025 notably forced the French Ministry of the Armed Forces to shoulder the development costs alone, starkly highlighting the financial fragility inherent in sustaining full technological sovereignty. Furthermore, attempting to broadly impose French strategic culture across a highly fragmented European Union presents considerable diplomatic hurdles. Different member states harbor vastly different threat perceptions and deep-seated historical alignments. While some Eastern and Northern European nations may enthusiastically welcome French initiatives, others remain firmly committed to an absolute reliance on the NATO alliance and a comprehensive United States nuclear umbrella. Bridging these ideological divides and convincingly persuading all European partners to invest substantially in indigenous defense capabilities remains a painstaking, long-term endeavor requiring sustained diplomatic effort. Another critical challenge involves effectively maintaining influence and linguistic soft power in traditionally francophone regions across Africa, and the Middle East. Paris faces rising geopolitical competition in these areas, with other global and regional powers actively promoting alternative political, economic, and ideological systems. Navigating these dynamic and often complex relationships requires nimble diplomacy, cultural sensitivity, and a genuine willingness to adapt, ensuring that the enduring influence of the French language and culture remains resilient against competing global narratives. Looking forward, the future trajectory of French strategic autonomy will largely be determined by its ability to successfully execute the transition to next-generation warfare. The successful integration of collaborative combat drones, sophisticated artificial intelligence, and advanced hypersonic systems into the French arsenal will dictate the credibility of its deterrence and industrial strength in the decades ahead. If France can skillfully navigate its current budget constraints and foster deeper European defense integration, its unique strategic model will undoubtedly serve as the guiding pillar for a sovereign, resilient, and influential Europe. In conclusion, France's unwavering pursuit of strategic autonomy represents a sophisticated, deeply multidimensional model of modern statecraft that remains as relevant and critical in 2026 as it was during the height of the Cold War. Rooted firmly in the enduring Gaullist philosophy of national independence and self-determination, France decisively rejects the simplistic binary trap of choosing exclusively between Washington and Beijing. Instead, it deliberately opts to act as an independent global power, carving its own path. By masterfully intertwining its sovereign nuclear deterrent, high-tech defense industrial strength, potent linguistic soft power, and visionary European diplomacy, Paris projects influence far beyond that of a traditional middle power. The formidable French force de frappe and its updated forward deterrence doctrine provide an independent and undeniable guarantee of sovereignty, granting Paris outsized leverage in crucial global security matters and offering a progressively expansive shield to willing European partners. Concurrently, the independent development of advanced aerospace programs, most notably the pioneering Rafale F-5 standard, ensures technical sovereignty and drastically reduces reliance on foreign military hardware, while simultaneously generating immense economic and diplomatic dividends globally through exports. At the same time, France's steadfast advocacy for the cultural exception, alongside its institutional and philosophical leadership, cements its position as a civilizational model capable of shaping global discourse and offering alternative perspectives. This comprehensive integration of civil and military capabilities, hard power and soft power, forms the very foundation of France's holistic approach to global relations. While facing notable challenges, including significant budgetary strains and the diplomatic complexities inherent in uniting a fragmented European Union, the sheer resilience, strategic foresight, and ambition of French statecraft are undeniable and impressive. Ultimately, France's quest for strategic autonomy does not aim to divide the West, but rather to profoundly strengthen the collective resilience and agency of Europe as a whole. By championing indigenous technological mastery, independent nuclear deterrence, and cultural confidence, France provides a vital and compelling blueprint for the continent's future. As the global order of 2026 continues its complex evolution, the French Third Pole stands as an essential bastion of stability, sovereignty, and principled independence.